You saw when Indian wrestlers protested against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh on the streets of Delhi. You heard them detail their sexual harassment allegations. You saw other sports people come out and support them. Yet, the Delhi police dragged its feet on filing a charge sheet. It took the Supreme Court to even push them into filing an FIR. Months since that protest began, the charge sheet has been filed against the BJP MP from Kaisarganj, who ruled the wrestling world as its boss for 12 long years. This charge sheet runs into 1599 pages and is both detailed and exhaustive. It sends a chill down your spine. The charge sheet contains gut-wrenching testimonies of 3 wrestlers who allegedly faced sexual harassment at Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh's hands. I'm going to read out some excerpts from this 1599 long page charge sheet. It will make your blood boil. First, this is the testimony of victim 1, who was allegedly sexually harassed by Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh not once, not twice, but thrice. This is what victim number 1 says happened to her in 2016. She said there was indecent behavior during the Olympic trials by Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. There was an incident of indecent sexual contact, that she was molested in a dining area when Bhushan asked her to sit. Bhushan, she says, then touched her private parts and stomach with quote-unquote bad intentions. Now, this allegation is backed by 2 co-wrestlers who witnessed this sexual contact. Then, in 2017, a year later, victim number 1 quotes another example. She says she was again inappropriately touched in the Wrestling Federation of India's office, touched on the palm, on the knee, on the thigh and shoulders without her consent. A year later, in 2018, again this victim testifies. She says, in January, I was hugged tightly and Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh didn't let her go for 15 to 20 seconds. This happened at the City Fort Auditorium. Then in August, she says she was hugged tightly and she had to protect her breasts. And yet, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh is defiant, he remains arrogant, he refuses to quit.
इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रही है?
6 आपके खिलाफ
इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रही है?
6 आपके खिलाफ आप इस तरह से कैसे बात कर सकते हैं?
इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रही है?
6 आपके खिलाफ
इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रही है?
6 आपके खिलाफ आप इस तरह से कैसे बात कर सकते हैं?
कोई चुप नहीं रहेगा. I think the MP should know that. There's a second victim who has come out and testified against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. Again, the details are in the charge sheet. This dates back to March 2022, which is nearly a year and a half ago. She says, this is victim number 2, she says she was molested by Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh during a group photograph. This is when a group photograph was to be taken. She was in the last row. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh asked her to come in front, then touched her from behind, again she says with bad intentions. She says, I tried to move away, but he pulled me back towards him. Take a look at these charges, ladies and gentlemen. Just take a look at how grave these charges are. To come out and detail them. But this man's arrogance continues. Does it continue? Because his party, the ruling dispensation in this country, continues to back him despite what the wrestlers have been saying for the last 6 months. Look at this man's arrogance, ladies and gentlemen, once again.
इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रही है?
6 आपके खिलाफ
इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रही है?
6 आपके खिलाफ आप इस तरह से कैसे बात कर सकते हैं?
इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रही है?
6 आपके खिलाफ
इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रही है?
6 आपके खिलाफ आप इस तरह से कैसे बात कर सकते हैं?
We'll tell him इस्तीफा किस बात का मांग रहे हैं हम. We'll just tell him if he already doesn't know. There's a third victim, a third testimony that we have managed to cull out from this charge sheet. The third victim's trauma happens in 2018. She says, I was molested by Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh in a warm-up area during stretching. He called me to a corner to check my breathing. He asked me to lie down. He put his hand on my chest, lifted my t-shirt, and then he touched my stomach. I said I was fine, but he continued to touch me inappropriately. For a moment think, ladies and gentlemen, for a moment think, if this was your daughter, if this was your sister, if this was your wife, would you or would you not have asked for Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh's ouster as an MP at least? Just look at the accounts that these three women wrestlers, these are women wrestlers who brought glory to this country. They are telling you what happened with them. And yet this man remains defiant, he remains arrogant, and his party continues to back him. Look at his arrogance once again.
इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रहे हैं?
छह आपके खिलाफ
इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रहे हैं आप?
छह आपके खिलाफ आप इस तरह से कैसे बात कर सकते हैं?
इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रहे हैं?
छह आपके खिलाफ
इस्तीफा किस बात की मांग रहे हैं आप?
छह आपके खिलाफ आप इस तरह से कैसे बात कर सकते हैं?
The women didn't keep quiet, the wrestlers didn't keep quiet, the sporting community hasn't kept quiet, and Times Network certainly will not keep quiet. Karishma is the one who's been tracking the story since day one. Karishma, I remember you were the one who had gone to the protests on day one, and we didn't know that the protests would last this long, because all of us had thought that look at who these women are who are protesting. Look at the women on our back. They are women known across this country. They have brought glory to this country. They are Olympians. That these are wrestlers who have made us proud. That if they are coming out and saying something, we will believe them. And yet, it took 6 months for the Delhi police to file this charge sheet. You have managed to access this charge sheet. What is the most horrifying part for you in this entire charge sheet?
Well, Shreya, whatever these 6 victims are saying, each and every part that they have said, they have spoken, it's obviously taken a lot of courage for them to come out and speak about the ordeal that they've had to share. One of the victim statements that you were just reading, victim number 3, for her to say that she was okay, she was not okay with the way Brij Bhushan was dealing with her. She said, okay, you want to check my breathing, I'll keep standing. He specifically told her, no, lie down. And after she, lied down, he touched her breast, lifted her t-shirt, put the hand on her navel, slid it down to her stomach. So these are the allegations that these wrestlers are putting. And one of the common allegation that is there amongst all these 6 women wrestlers, women victims, is the fact that he would touch them inappropriately in the garb of checking their breathing. Now, the fact is that he is not a coach. He is not somebody who is, close to these athletes or to these wrestlers in terms of a physiotherapist or even a coach. Why should a man be touching women athletes in any scenario? There are female coaches, there are female massagers as well available in every sport in this country with every federation. Then why is it that Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh was allowed to do something like that? But we have to give it to the wrestlers to now come out, speak against him and make sure that they get justice.
So, Karishma, here's something that struck me as I was reading those charges and as I was reading the charge sheet. This man was so arrogant and so confident that no one can check him, that no one will catch him, that he was misbehaving. Okay, misbehaving is not the right word to use. That's an understatement. But he was molesting these women in public, in dining areas, in areas where these women wrestlers were warming up. Why did it take so long for people to come out to the streets, for these wrestlers to come out on the streets and say, this is what has happened to us?
I remember interviewing Sakshi Malik when she was sitting at Jantar Mantar, and this was one of the most common questions that was asked to Sakshi and to Vinesh, that why did you take so much time to speak about it if, these are the instances that you're talking about. So they said that if 10 years ago, we would have spoken about it. We were nobodies. Nobody would have believed us. But today, I'm a Sakshi Malik. I'm an Olympic medalist. I'm a Bajrang Punia. I'm a Vinesh Fogart who's won medals in Commonwealth Games, Asian Games. So now, with that background behind us, what we say is going to hold weight. If we were some junior athletes, that wouldn't have held weight and people would not have taken us seriously. And that is one explanation that these wrestlers gave as to why they chose to speak up now, because as Olympic athletes, there is a certain sense of responsibility. You will take a Sakshi Malik seriously. You will take a Bajrang Punia seriously. So that is what these wrestlers said. And that, I think, gave the courage to all the 6 women wrestlers, victims who've now spoken to the Delhi police, and the charge sheet has been filed, and we're looking forward to a very important hearing in the Rouse Avenue court tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. also, Shreya.
Can I ask you where Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh's defiance is coming from? What is his side saying?
Well, Shreya, his side is completely denying all the charges that have been put on him.
I mean, one of them then is lying. Either Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh is lying or these 6 women are lying.
There are pictures that have also been shared in that charge sheet where a victim says that she was hugged inappropriately, and there is a picture that shows that Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh was hugging one of the victims, as has been mentioned in the charge sheet. So if it is about good touch and bad touch, then of course it is the basics of seeking consent from any of the women athletes, and that is what these wrestlers have said, that it's not even in public. It's also at his residence cum office where 3 of these 6 complainants have been sexually harassed. There is one victim who says that I needed medical treatment, for which I went to meet the president, and he said that I will give you medical treatment, but you have to accept my sexual advances. So these are the kind of allegations that are against this man, but he continues to be defiant. His co-accused Vinod Tomar continues to be defiant. He says, I've never aided or facilitated any of these things that have been mentioned in the charge sheet. So one really wonders where this defiance of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh comes from, but he continues to be defiant, and he says that he is going to speak whatever he has to in the court.
All right, Karishma, we'll leave it there for the moment. Tomorrow, as you said, is an important hearing. Let's see where the story goes from there on. But the charge sheet is very detailed and damning as well, as far as Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh is. We'll leave it there, Karishma. Thank you very much. Let me quickly go across to our guest this evening. Rahul Easwar is an activist joining us on the broadcast. Dr. Charu Ali Khanna is a former member of the NCW, a senior advocate as well, joining us on the broadcast. Rahul Easwar, you've heard the testimonies. You've heard 3 out of 6 testimonies. They are horror stories. They are horror stories. Yet I wonder, why is the government of the day reluctant to accept what women wrestlers are saying and sack this man?
2 submissions. First of all, every right-thinking Indian will be with our wrestlers in their fight. But having said that, see, there is a process of law. We may not like it. We would want instant justice. We may want a speedy justice. I concede. But there is a process of law. Since the court is seized upon the matter, whatever allegations have been raised against Brij Bhushan should be validated by the court, and court should find him guilty. And there is a huge difference between what is written in a charge sheet and what a court can accept with evidence. So yes, I share that sense of outrage. I respect that outrage. Many of it seems to be true too. At the same point of time, a government or an establishment cannot go beyond the contours of law and the framework of law. So we should wait for the court to take any kind of action. It is not a political matter anymore. It is up to the judiciary of India to take forward the matter. There has been many allegations, but these are only allegations. Only until and unless the court takes the matter, we can even move an inch forward. And I totally accept. I was also in Times Now. Nobody will, even from the right wing of the spectrum, will agree with the behavior he showed to a Times Now, Mirror Now journalist. But having said that, the other matter is very important. It's a very crucial juncture. It is up to the court to come up with a verdict. Otherwise, we all know he has become the Baahubali of the UP politics, but he should not behave like Bhallaladeva. There is no denying the fact. But having said that, we cannot jump the gun. We cannot hasten the process. There cannot be speedy and instant justice. We should wait for the courts. That is the only way ahead.
No, okay, fine. I understand what you're saying. You're telling me that there cannot be a trial by the media. I agree with you. We are not judge, jury, and executioner here. We aren't. Maybe there are things we don't know. But again, Rahul Easwar, Here's what I'm telling you. Here's what I'm asking you. The fact is that 6 wrestlers have put their testimonies in front of the Delhi police. The Delhi police has charge sheeted this man. The Delhi police has corroborated the evidence that has been put out. They have spoken to witnesses. They have looked at technical evidence. They have looked at call records of this man. And they have found that what the wrestlers are saying is enough to get Mr. Brij Bhushan Singh Sharan punished. What are they saying? He's liable for punishment. That is the exact term that has been used in the charge sheet. Even after this charge sheet, there is a reluctance on the part of the BJP to sack him.
We have spoken to some of our friends in the ruling party and establishment. What they are all saying is true. Beyond his clout, the community aspect, let them all be there. But at this point of juncture, since he and his camp is strongly and vehemently denying all the charges, we don't know what is true. And as I pointed out earlier, the trial by media can often be misleading. That's the reason why we can only, judiciary is the most trustworthy institutions in India, where we still have much higher hope for justice. So we should wait for that rather than doing a media trial, rather than doing a campaign, rather than asking for instant justice. The only way out in a democratic setup like ours is wait for the judiciary to come up with a verdict. And there is very less anyone else can do anything else about. I believe the ruling establishment also has this line of thought in their mind. They also are waiting for what the honorable courts have to say. And unless and until the courts convict him, or court even prima facie by obiter dicta or some kind of comments, whether it is seemed to be possible, and a powerful person like him, it will be very tough to action. It is not because of the BJP, Congress or AAP divide. Any party, when they are facing such an allegation, they have to wait for a court's nod or a court's order. There is no other way realistically in a democracy like ours.
I find it interesting that the Tamil Nadu Minister Senthil Balaji can be put behind bars on corruption charges without a charge sheet, and this man has a charge sheet against him, and yet he's walking free and defiant. Dr. Charuvali Khanna, yet he walks free and defiant.
I just want to comment on what Rahul said. He said there's a process of law and that has to be followed, and we cannot have asked for instant justice. In this case, the process of law has been violated at every step. We're not talking about instant justice. How many months did the women, did the wrestlers go on a dharna? And then they were given some assurances and a committee was made, and which didn't come out with its report, which was again not biased. I mean, it's been months. And what are they expecting? When he's saying one of another stand he took that he's vehemently denying the charges, so the truth will come out. Every accused vehemently denies the charges. I mean, it's very few of them who say, yes, we committed the murder, we committed the rape. They they vehemently, to use his words, deny the charges. But they are taken immediately, apprehended and arrested. Why is the arrest of this man being delayed? This is my question. And I'm sure tomorrow the judge will order the arrest of this man. Otherwise, it will totally be a travesty of justice. Because he's constantly putting pressure. Even many of the testimonies were taken. They said he and his henchmen were moving around freely and they were putting pressure on us. We must see it in the larger picture. I mean, you rightly said that it was because Sakshi Malik came on the dharna and spoke out now because people would believe her because she's an Olympian. I mean, can you imagine the condition of women sportspersons? Can you imagine the condition of their families? Apart from wrestling is a gendered sport, more for men. So families don't allow their daughters, their young girls to join the sport because they're discriminated against and people feel it's manly. But there's so many other sports also in which now parents will hesitate to let their girls go because they have to go to camps. And if this kind of thing happens that just the president, who's not a physiotherapist, who's not he comes and who's not a coach, he comes and tells the girl, put up your chest and I want to see your breathing. I mean, this can happen in any sport, not necessarily wrestling. It can happen in athletics. It can happen in weightlifting, short put, hurdles. I mean, will the parents, and most of these girls are coming from rural backgrounds. So what are you doing? Are you denying the aspiration of young girls from rural backgrounds, from remote areas to come into sports?
Sure.
And this is called grooming. If it was a
Rahul Easwar,
physiotherapist,
Rahul Easwar,
I strongly
try
believe
and
Rahul
nobody
Easwar,
either
okay,
is right
okay, Charuji, give me a minute. Rahul Easwar, fact is that even Manish Sisodiya has denied vehemently all charges against him. Fact is even Satyendra Jain has denied vehemently any charges against him. Fact is Senthil Balaji has denied charges against him. Obviously, someone who is being accused will deny charges against them and will deny it vehemently.
Two submissions. One,
so the government has a choice.
We cannot.
It
we
will
cannot,
either believe its MP, it will either believe its MP, or it will believe 6 women wrestlers who have brought glory to this country and are out there detailing what has happened to them. And Rahul Easwar, you know, I'm sure a lot of parents and a lot of elderly people, Rahul, who are watching this broadcast would be uncomfortable if I repeat the charges that the women have made. That he pushed them towards the bed, that he hugged them inappropriately, touched them on the stomach and the breast, tried to hold them from the back. And there are things I'm not saying right now because I'm assuming kids are watching this, but maybe they should watch it because this is, you know, ugly truth needs to be out there. People need to feel repulsed because that is how most of us feel today, Rahul.
Yeah. And I believe every genuine Indian, whether they belong to right, left, or center, will share that outrage. We may only differ in the way ahead. For example, I don't think anybody in the ruling establishment will back blindly Brij Bhushan Singh. I have spoken to some. They are all saying that let the court come out because they were even quoting the instance of Asaram. Asaram is one of the most powerful, so-called saints of our nation with more than 10,000 crores of assets. But because of a court intervention, he's right now in jail for a longer period of time, including his son. So that's the power of Indian judiciary. Even though Asaram is much more powerful than Brij Bhushan Singh, during his heydays. So let us wait for that process. Second, technically speaking and legally speaking, we cannot compare one case to other because every case is unique in its own nature. So there is a difference. The history, the genesis of this case is different. The way it played out, the way it panned out, the allegations came, there were counter allegations, and people like P.T. Usha, Mary Kom, so many eminents were involved. So every case is unique in its own way. We will not be doing justice to any case if we are comparing. I know all the other political allegations apart, this is a very serious issue, whether he's a BJP MP, Congress MP, or person, doesn't matter. There is a serious allegation. Everyone should look into it. But the only Sahara we have, the only way out we have, let us wait for the court. Let us wait for the court verdict. We need not second guess. We need not overshoot. We need not prejudice the judgment. Let us wait for what the courts have to say and follow that process of law because it has become such high profile and high sensitive. We shouldn't be jumping the gun and waiting patiently, even though that patience can be a bit taking toll on us. We should be waiting for the court's verdict and rather engaging any kind of blame game, whether they belong to any party, because the sensitivity of the case, the high profile nature of the case has been so high. So the courts are the right way ahead. Let us not do a media trial. Let's wait for the real court's verdict and go along with it.
All right, let's see when that happens. If Ajmal Kasab got a proper trial in this country, then why not Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh? We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you, Rahul Easwar, for joining us. Dr. Charuvali Khanna, thank you very much for joining us as well on the broadcast. Now to